From the casings that once held infinity stones to a cloak with a mind of its own, from magic that binds cosmic beings to weapons that can reshape reality, and from tools guarding Earth against interdimensional threats to relics capable of trapping a spell itself, the sorcerers of the Marvel Universe wield unmatched power. But even greater than their sorcery are the mystical relics they command, objects no ordinary magician can touch. Each relic is infused with the essence of a higher dimensional being and carries the power of the ancient sorcerer who forged it. Think about it. Who was Agamotto, the name behind the legendary Eye of Agamotto? Or why is the staff of the Living Tribunal named after the cosmic judge of all existence? From the Book of Vishanti to the sands of Nisanti, every artifact holds the legacy of a sorcerer so powerful, their magic still echoes across the multiverse. Plus, in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, we're going to meet another extremely powerful sorcerer, surrounded by many mystical relics, who will use his sorcery to bring everyone to their doom. So today, we're going to dive deep into the topic of mystical artifacts. Without further delay, let's begin. Number 10. Sands of Nisanti. This relic appears in both the movies and the comics. Though in the comics, it's not a physical object, but rather a spell. Still, its function remains the same in both versions. In the movies, we saw the Sands of Nisanti in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. On Earth 838, this green sand has the unique ability to neutralize all kinds of mystical energy and spells. This means that in its presence or on contact, no sorcerer can perform any kind of mystical art. Using this special property of the sand, Dr. Christine Palmer was able to create devices that could restrain sorcerers. In the comics, the Sands of Nisanti appear as a spell that, when cast, forms an hourglass-shaped field. For the next 3 minutes, no sorcerer nearby can perform any mystical art. Number 9. Machina de Kadavus. Now, this name might sound completely new to you, but this mystical artifact caused major chaos in the MCU. We're talking about the relic seen in Spider-Man: No Way Home. It's called Machina de Kadavus. So, what is it exactly? How does it work? Well, there's no explanation for it in the comics, because this relic doesn't exist there. It's an MCU-original creation. However, based on what we saw in the movie, we can understand its function. When Doctor Strange casts the runes of Kofkol, the spell goes wrong and becomes completely corrupted. It's revealed that this spell is so powerful that it starts tearing apart the fabric of the multiverse. In a hurry, Strange traps the overloaded spell inside the Machina de Kadavus. So, essentially, this relic works as a containment unit, much like a magical prison, capable of binding even the most powerful spells, and that's exactly what we saw in the movie. Even though the runes of Kofkol's spell became unstable and overloaded, the Machina de Kadavus managed to contain it perfectly and safely. Number 8. Wand of Watum. We first saw the Wand of Watum in the 2016 Doctor Strange movie, In the Hands of Wong, when he went to fight Caecilius and his zealots. While the MCU didn't explore the wand's full potential, the comics give us a much clearer picture of how it works. Watum, like Dormammu and Agamotto, is an extra-dimensional entity. He created not 1 or 2, but 6 powerful wands of Watum, scattering them across different dimensions. The wand itself is roughly a foot-long rod that constantly emits orange mystical energy. According to Dr. Doom in Invincible Iron Man Volume 3, issue number 2, the wand connects directly to the mind of its user, helping them channel, focus, and amplify mystical energy. So basically, the Wand of Watum works like an amplifier, except instead of electricity, it amplifies mystical energy. Number 7. Staff of the Living Tribunal. This mystical relic bears the name of one of the most powerful entities in the entire Marvel multiverse, the Living Tribunal. Interestingly, when the Doctor Strange movie came out in 2016 and featured this relic, the Staff of the Living Tribunal didn't actually exist in the comics at that time. It was an MCU-original creation. In the MCU, it appears as a staff-like weapon that can be used for both offense and defense. While its full power wasn't explored in the movie, in 2023, a Marvel storyline titled GODS finally revealed its true potential. In that story, a villain named Cubist Core steals the staff of the Living Tribunal, and we see for the first time just how powerful it really is. The staff can rewrite reality itself on a massive scale, and once rewritten, that reality continues to exist permanently. The most dangerous part? There's no counterspell capable of undoing or reversing a reality rewritten by the staff of the Living Tribunal. So, even though we first saw it in the 2016 movie, its true, terrifying power was fully explained later in the 2023 comics. Number 6. The Vaulting Boots of Valtorr. During the daily training sessions at Kamar-Taj, when Mordo and Strange sparred, Mordo mentioned this relic for the first time. For those who don't know, the Vaulting Boots of Valtorr are an MCU-original idea, since there's no such relic in the comics. For those who don't know, the Vaulting Boots of Valtorr are an MCU-original idea, since they don't have any comic book counterpart. However, from the movies, we learned that this mystical artifact helps its user perform feats like walking on air, partial flight, and even defying gravity. Now, speaking of the entity the relic is connected to, it's linked to Valtorr. In the comics, Valtorr, much like Dormammu, is an extra-dimensional entity, often depicted as a serpent-like being and referred to as the entity of vapors and snakes. Number 5. The Brazier of Bom'Galiath. We've actually talked about this relic before in our mind-blowing facts video. The Brazier of Bom'Galiath has appeared twice in the MCU so far. The first time was in the original Doctor Strange movie, when Strange didn't yet know what the relic did, which is why Caecilius easily knocked him aside. The second time was in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where Christine Palmer demonstrated its power by using it to destroy the souls of the damned. But the Brazier of Bom'Galiath is far more dangerous than it seemed there. According to the comics, it functions like a spell battery, meaning it amplifies the intensity of any magical spell cast through it. If a spell is channeled using the brazier, it becomes much stronger, and the brighter the brazier's flames, the more powerful the amplified spell becomes. That's why, when Christine used it surrounded by mystical energy-filled candles, the brazier intensified their flames, boosting the magical attack. So yes, this relic is incredibly useful, and extremely powerful. Number 4. The Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. Now, as soon as you hear this name, you probably remember the Titan battle from Avengers, Infinity War. But in the movies, the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak were slightly reimagined. They were actually shown much earlier, in the first Doctor Strange movie. Remember that skeletal restraining structure that Strange threw at Caecilius, trapping him completely? That was the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak in their physical form within the MCU. As Mordo explained, some kinds of magic are too powerful to be used in their raw form, so they're bound into a vessel or object. That skeletal structure stored in the London Sanctum was the physical manifestation of the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. Later, in Avengers, Infinity War, Doctor Strange used a spell version of the same power to restrain Thanos on Titan. Number 3. The Orb of Agamotto. We saw the Orb of Agamotto in the 2016 Doctor Strange movie. It appeared in the scene where, after Strange is expelled from Kamar-Taj, the Ancient One enters a chamber to meet with the Masters of the Three Sanctums, and during that meeting, we see a relic projecting a holographic image of Earth, showing the Three Sanctums and their mystical defenses. That relic is the Orb of Agamotto. Now, the version of the orb in the movies is a bit different from its comic book counterpart. In the comics, the Orb of Agamotto is mainly used for divination spells and teleportation, but in the MCU, its role is more like surveillance. It connects the three sanctums together and maintains a mystical shield around Earth. It also monitors the planet, detects dimensional threats, and alerts the sorcerers if danger arises. So basically, the Orb of Agamotto is one of the most essential relics in the mystical order, since without it, Earth would be vulnerable to interdimensional attacks. Also, for those who don't know, Agamotto was the first sorcerer supreme in Marvel history. Number 2. The Cloak of Levitation. Mystical artifacts cannot be used by just anyone. Each one has its own will and chooses its own wielder, and the Cloak of Levitation is famously picky about whom it chooses. Very little information has been revealed about the cloak in the movies, such such as who created it or who wielded it before Strange, if anyone did. But from Mordo's dialogue in the 2016 Doctor Strange movie, we can understand that the Cloak of Levitation had never chosen anyone before Strange. That's why it was such a significant moment when, for the first time ever, the cloak chose Dr. Stephen Strange as its master. It had never chosen anyone before, and that's why it was such a big moment when the cloak finally chose someone as its wielder. But here, I'd like to tell you something interesting. We all saw that in the movies. The Cloak of Levitation is a sentient relic, meaning it behaves as if it has a mind of its own. But did you know that this concept is original to the MCU? Yes, friends. In the comics, the Cloak of Levitation has many special abilities, but it isn't sentient like it is in the movies. However, the comics do tell us where the Cloak of Levitation came from. The iconic red cloak we see Doctor Strange wearing first appeared in Strange Tales number 127, where the Ancient One personally gave it to him. Before moving on to number 1, I'd like to mention some special mentions, mainly the magical books. We've already seen what the Darkhold did to Wanda. The Book of Vishanti, even while burning, showed Doctor Strange a way to defeat Wanda. Reading the Book of Cagliostro, Caecilius and his zealots summoned Dormammu to Earth, and that very book also contained the method to activate the Eye of Agamotto. And of course, who can forget Tony's Cauldron of Cosmos that appeared in Infinity War? Now, at number 1, the Eye of Agamotto. From Doctor Strange's first comic book appearance to the MCU, the Eye of Agamotto has been one of the most famous relics. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was introduced as the container of the Time Stone. But that's not its only purpose. The Eye of Agamotto does much more than hold the Time Stone. This was even shown in the MCU, but in such a subtle way that most people didn't notice. The Eye of Agamotto grants its user multiple powers, such as truth-revealing ability, dispelling illusions, spiritual clairvoyance, one of its most powerful abilities. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, when Shuma Gorath was wreaking havoc in New York, he was initially invisible, even to Strange himself, because Wanda had hidden him with illusion magic. But once Strange noticed, he cast a spell. If you look carefully in that scene, the Eye of Agamotto opens, and the spell's power actually emerges from the eye itself, breaking Wanda's illusion spell and revealing the truth. So that's the Eye of Agamotto. Besides this, it has many more capabilities, which I hope we'll get to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the future. These were the incredible mystical artifacts we've seen in the MCU so far. The story of Marvel's sorcerers and their mystical relics runs deep. In fact, only about 10% of it has been explored in the movies. But tell me, among all these artifacts, which one is your favorite? And do you think we'll get to see even more mystical relics in Avengers? Doomsday? Let's discuss it all in the comments. If you like the video, make sure to like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.